All right. Good morning, Keller Williams, Greater Metropolitan, and welcome to our last sales meeting of the first quarter. Can you believe it? We are already not quite 90 days, 88 days through the year in what is proving to be a very curious and interesting real estate market with a very curious and interesting world as the backdrop. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today and a lot about that in a couple weeks. But before we get into the meat of the meeting spelled M-E-A-T-I-N-G, right? That's clever. We are going to talk a little bit about the 6 personal perspectives. So we have been working our way through these 6 personal perspectives, which I will remind you come from The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller and Dave Jenks. And these were the perspectives held by some of the top real estate agents throughout the world that Gary interviewed as he wrote this book. And he identified these, and as he does with everything, codified them, made a system out of them, and then shared them with the real estate industry. So the 6th and final personal perspective in the 6 personal perspectives is to be accountable. To be accountable. Very simple, clean cut, brief, but also very hard to accomplish. So when you think about what does it mean to be accountable, it means to answer to or take responsibility for one's actions and the outcomes and results from those actions. And you know, the typical definition of accountability, there's typically a relationship of authority. We know in Keller Williams, Greater Metropolitan, Keller Williams in general, and the real estate industry at large, we are 1099 independent contractors. People find their way to a career in real estate because they want the freedom and flexibility afforded by being their own boss. So being accountable isn't necessarily something that comes naturally to the entrepreneur unless they make it a part of their process and a part of their lives. And so what I want you to do right now, and I'm going to give us 30 seconds on the clock in terms of silence. And I want you to think about who are you accountable to, right? Is it your spouse? Is it your children? Is it your family in general? Is it your God, your church, your religious organization? Are you accountable to a charity that you support? Who would you have to answer to, either in reality or in your heart, if you weren't to achieve your goals this year? And anyone who's brave enough, if you want to go ahead and drop in the chat where you draw a sense of accountability from. Where do you go when you feel the need to be motivated, or you want to be accountable for what you did or didn't do in the last week, last month, in the first quarter? Who are you accountable to? I'll tell you autobiographically, I feel accountable to all of you, and I would invite all of you to feel free to hold me accountable to the goals of this organization and providing an environment that you can grow a big and successful business in. And I see a lot of people on the call who have held me accountable, not the least of which are members of our leadership team and staff. The point around this brief exercise, you guys, is if you don't you don't need to have somebody above you, or you don't need to have a boss to be accountable. And you don't have to be accountable only to yourself. You can be accountable to your goals. And more importantly, I would encourage you to identify the people who are most impacted by your success or lack thereof, and be accountable to them. Whether it be your children, your spouse, your charity, your church, whatever it is. And if there was ever a time that real estate agents might be looking for motivation, and they might be looking for someone else to call on for a little bit of grit, it would be now in this current market, and battling to win for our buyers and do the right thing for our sellers. So I encourage you all, and we will revisit at the back half of the second quarter these 6 personal perspectives again, to ensure that they stay a part of the conversation that we're having as a company, and that you all have the opportunity to have with yourselves. All right, and then I will cherry pick the idea of commitment in all things. I know we hit this one just a couple weeks ago, guys, but you could hit each one of these every single week. But as we stand on the doorstep of what'll probably kick off the busiest 200 days that a lot of us have ever experienced in real estate or otherwise, our commitment to our goals, our commitment to our communities, our commitment to our clients, and our commitment to ourselves and our health and our well-being is incredibly, incredibly important now. That level of commitment will create a level of resilience that will see us through. And I want you to know that we're working with a few folks right now to bring some opportunities to everyone, so that we can help you be more committed to yourself, to protect your mental health, to protect your health and well-being, and to support you having a strong and healthy business that promotes a strong and healthy life. So this week, let's pull on some resolve, let's pull on some commitment, and get ready to do what needs to be done to get the results that we're committed to getting. All right, gang. We are hiring. As I mentioned last week, we onboarded and had an amazing first week for our Rocky River receptionist, Kelly Mann. She is doing fantastic. She's loving life, and got, as all of you who have ever darkened the door of the River office would expect, a very warm welcome from the crew out there. We also still have an open position for the Assistant Market Center Administrator. So we are looking for a talented, detail-oriented person to support getting everyone in our company paid as they bring in this deluge of transactions in the next 180 days, and to make sure that we are able to continue to grow our organization by allowing Carrie to lean in fully to her new role as Director of Agent Services and Experiences. And then the hiring train will continue in the second quarter, as we will announce a couple of additional positions that will be opening up after as we get into the month of April. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. And as always, who do you know who we should be in business with? Who do you know who should be a part of our leadership team? We want to be in conversation and relationship with them as much as possible. All right, speaking of referrals, last night we had our first career night in the Rocky River office in a couple of months, and we're thrilled with the turnout. Not only did we have more than almost a dozen guests in the room or the Zoom, we also were joined by a few agents from the Market Center, which is always fun. It adds color and context to the conversation and really allows for the folks in the room to feel like they're having a conversation and it allows for a better dialogue whenever they know that agents are in the room instead of the guy who's selling them on KW. So big thank you to Andrew Ginter, Dan Malloy, Robbie Brooks, and Jeff Wang for referring individuals to the party last night. You will see this consistently on the calendar going forward in that office as we are zeroed in on growth everywhere and especially in that sector. So we haven't done this in a while, but seeing the Facebook posts cropping up and seeing some really exciting stuff coming on the market or eventually going to make it on the market, or however you're describing it in your Facebook posts. We wanted to give the opportunity for everybody to just go ahead and fill the chat box with everything that they have coming. Anything that would have recently been listed, recently took a price reduction, recently had some change of terms, maybe it's back on the market. Guys, we are seeing a ton of stuff, yes, come on the market and go under contract, but there's a reason that pendings outpace solds so aggressively. And the reason is that not every deal that goes under contract is getting done. So if you got something that came back on the market and you need to get it back under contract quickly, do it with one of your neighbors here at Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. And then also, I'm looking at anybody who has buyer needs as well. Obviously, we all do, I know, but, looking at Jess Ivins here from a property management group. If you want to drop any rental listings that are out there, if we've got a buyer who hasn't found the place yet, needs a roof over their head, or vice versa, if anyone has any rental needs, please throw them out there. But the chat box is yours for that. And we'll go back to doing that post weekly in the Facebook group as well, to make sure that we're consolidating the opportunities in one spot for anybody who is looking. All right, so we've got a really strong week of training coming up, and we're going to kick off a really strong month of April. So get out your pens and papers, get out your date books, and take some notes here. Our session this Friday morning is a reverse book club, and it's focused all on achieving your goals, right? So today's conversation, we're going to revisit some MREA models. We're going to talk about our goals. We're going to talk about some things that we can do right now, right now, to start creating more business and see more business through. But at 11 a.m. on Friday, Shoshana is going to take us through one of the most highly touted books on getting things done, which is called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And if you know Shoshana, Shoshana is one of the most well-read agents, maybe one of the most well-read people that I've had the pleasure to spend some time with. But she loves this book. She references it consistently as a part of her team. She's built her organization which sold over 100 homes and over $40 million in volume last year with these disciplines of execution. So it is, guys, you're going to hear the theory from the book. You're going to hear about what those 4 disciplines of execution are, and you're going to hear from somebody who's actually implemented them and actually got the results. So Friday morning, 11 a.m., this is a don't miss opportunity. And then for those, the newest among us, right, the greenhorns in the room, we have next Thursday afternoon an awesome iteration of what used to be a series called Your First Deal. And Your First Deal was dialed in on agents who were coming in maybe with little to no experience in the realm of real estate, and it was getting them more familiar with, hey, what's a title? What's it mean to have a mortgage? What do you mean loan products? What's the difference between, okay, all that, right? Which is old hat for a lot of people after about 6 months. But we've redesigned this course and are really excited about the way that it's coming together. Instead of it being compartmentalized to, hey, let's spend some time talking about mortgage, let's spend some time talking about title or home warranty, it's designed to deliver the flow of a transaction, right? So you have a client. That client wants to see homes. You're setting them up on an MLS. You go to write an offer. The other person asks for a pre-approval letter. What is that? And so then the ball bounces to mortgage, right? And hopefully your client, you want them pre-approved long before you're showing them houses. But then we're going to throw it over to mortgage. And so we're going to follow everything that's going to happen in your first deal from partner to partner so that you know where to go to get the help you need when you need it. And trust me, guys, even if you've done a couple of deals or a dozen deals, this is going to be a good session for you to be at so that you know the partners and you know the people that can help you help your clients. And then, excuse me, the following week, very excited. As business picks up, our opportunity to do more business picks up as well. That makes sense. Now, if you remember, one of our previous conversations around the 6 personal perspectives was around moving from E to P, from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Entrepreneurial to purposeful. Well, one of the ways, the best ways to break through your ceiling of performance and move from entrepreneurial to purposeful is to implement systems, right? So we are going to have a systems workshop. This is not a systems class. This is not a systems conversation. It's a systems workshop where Liz Kosminski and Alex Ribb, two individuals who together as their role in operations and as transaction coordinators have put through probably over 1,000 transactions between the two of them and have extremely strong systems. Liz's systems are so strong, she built a business out of it, right? But we also know that not every system applies to every person, right? You have your own flavor, your own flair, your own je ne sais quoi that makes your business and your brand what it is. However, that can't be just doing whatever comes naturally. We have to put things in systems. And so we're going to get a bunch of folks in the room, so sign up. And we're gonna talk about what are the tenets of a system, what are the relevant systems to build, depending on where you are in the business, and then we're gonna lay that out. We can lay it out in hard copy, we can lay it out digitally, we can do it however you're going to follow it, but you will leave that day with systems that will help you do business more easily or do more business. Very excited to continue to bring experiential learning opportunities to everybody. We are moving beyond the theory, gang. And then if you have not marked your calendar already, if you have not gotten your ticket already on Eventbrite, and don't worry, the ticket doesn't cost any money. We just need to know who is coming. We are going to have a very exciting Q2 kickoff that is on Wednesday, April 13th at the Independence Civic Center. So we're getting together at a central location, having a conversation, having a big event that is going to include a couple of top agent panels. So we're going to be talking about some really important, really market of the moment issues with our top agents. We're going to get a market update. We're going to bounce the ball around and talk to mortgage and talk to some other folks about what's happening in the here and now with our market. What can we learn from the last 90 days? How do we apply it to the next 180 days? And then we have a very exciting keynote that I believe we'll be able to announce as early as tomorrow. So this is going to be a big event. We already have over 70 people signed up for the event. There will be a capacity limit on the space. So we're going to need you to commit to being there and get your ticket as soon as possible. Guys, live events are back. We're all here and we all want to be together. And nobody does live events and getting together and having fun better than Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. So be there. For our dual career agents who are going to be listening to this recording on the YouTube page later tonight, consider taking a half day from work or maybe even playing hooky. This is going to be an event that you do not want to miss. And then finally, we are very close to finalizing our sites for Red Day. I'm very close to finalizing everything that we need to have an awesome cultural moment and a big day of service. So thrilled to have the KW Cares Committee leading the charge here, and to have the opportunity to bring service to all of our agents and their communities. And then finally, guys, I think I posted in the Facebook group, I can't stop talking about it. Last Thursday's class with Mastering Multiples with Megas, where we had Josh Young of the Young team, Anna Lloyd of the Young team, Mike, the big bad listing daddy, pass it in, and Lindsay Podizak on the call, breaking down everything that they do to win in multiples, everything, the way that they interpret offers as listing agents. I've received texts from agents, and I would imagine, I cannot wait to see the data, what the closings are going to look like the last week of April, because so many folks put something under contract this weekend that reached out to me, and I know reached out to some of our presenters and said, but for that conversation, but for that class, there's no chance of me winning. I would have wrote the offer completely differently. I know I talked to an agent who's 5 years in the business, and they've had a client that they just haven't been able to win for. And so they called him up after the class and said, hey, we're going to start doing stuff differently. I want to get you on board, right? If you were not there, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, where it's posted, watch it. It'll be the best 75 minutes you can spend for your clients and for your checkbook this year. So do that right now. Well, not right now. Do it at 10:30 after this is over. Don't leave right now. But you know, if you did, I wouldn't be upset. All right. Speaking of people who missed last week's Mastering Multiples with Mega session, fresh off of his tour of Disney, Sean Hadley is back, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe I saw the darling Don Jarecki as well. These two guys are going to tell us that everything in the mortgage world is going to be all right. You know, just lie to us. What's going on, guys?
Good morning, everybody. And still time to do a cash out refinance if you're headed back to Disney, like I'm pretty much going to have to do. So rates went up 0.25% last week. Don, tell us why. Just kidding. Rates went up 0.25% just last week, and believe it or not, that's not even kind of the headline. Just we'll get into this a lot more at the quarterly meeting, I'm sure, but just so everybody kind of realizes it, we're in the middle of historic events, and interest rates and bonds. We're closing out the first quarter here, and it's the worst quarter, you know, historically in the past 40 years, just about, as far as what we've seen with rates going up. So just to reflect this on a little bit, and this isn't a doomsday report. This is more of a, you know, be aware of what's happening. And you as a realtor are the first line of communication to the general public. You know, if somebody's looking at buying a house, you're probably their first conversation, and in that conversation, you know, mortgage and rates are going to come up. I'm sure, even if it's a cash buyer, you know, there's alternate, you know, conversation that may come up with regarding to inflation rates, appreciation, and such. So, just to kind of reflect on this a little bit, I pulled up the chart. January 1st, the average interest rate. I always use the Mortgage News Daily, kind of an impartial sort of third party, and the interest rate was 3.29% was the average 30-year fixed. As we sit here today, the web page is reporting 3.95%. That's 1.7% in less than 90 days. The good news is there's still high demand, and you know, up to this point, it's not turning buyers off. But you've all heard of us, you know, spouting before. Hey, if rates go up 1%, your buyer qualifications reduced by 10%. And usually when we say that, it's sort of saying, hey, rates could go up 1% over the next year and their qualifications can go down. Well, rates have gone up more than 1% just in the past 3 months. So, you know, first off, if you have somebody who was pre-approved a few months ago, and, you know, obviously if there's another lender, they may or may not be communicating with their loan officer. So if it's with us, Don and I are keeping in touch, and Chris as well, keeping in touch with our pre-approved buyers, so they're aware of what's happening in the market. but you want to make sure that, you know, buyers pre-approved for a $200,000 house in December, that they're still approved for a $200,000 house today. And again, this is more just to be aware of what's happening, and, you know, rates will have a 5 in front of it. We're not talking this summer, we're talking this spring. And by the way, we're in spring right now. Looking out your window, it doesn't always feel like it. But so just wanted to make you aware about what's happening. We'll do a deeper dive on this as well as inflation. But Don, go ahead. You jump in here.
To piggyback what Sean said here, I think it's just time we start embracing the 5% number, because that's the number it's going to be here going forward from spring, summer. There's nothing on the horizon that says that there's going to be any type of rally in our bond markets or anything like that. So just educate the public, let them know that rates are not in the 3s anymore, and you're realistically looking in the 5s. Just like Sean said, this isn't a doomsday. This is just make everybody aware so that nobody's surprised when they call that lender.
Mm-hmm. And two little, you know, whether you want to incorporate it into your script, you've heard us say this on the last few meetings, you know, it's not that rates are going up, they're normalizing. Rates were 5% just over 3 years ago. 5.125% was the rate in January of 2019. So just over 3 years ago, we're back to where that was. Well, guess what we had in between? The pandemic. The pandemic kind of created the fluke with interest rates that put them from at the time, the mid to high 3s to the 2s. So, you know, the days of the 2s are gone, maybe not forever, but certainly in the very short term, and likely the 3s. So it's, you know, just a matter of being aware and, you know, educating, you know, your sphere, so to speak. So always feel free, whether it's a one-on-one, if you're curious, or you need a little pep talk, or want to bring buyer up to speed, or a seller for that matter, you know, Chris, myself, Don, Carmen, we're always available.
You know, Sean, too, it's just a little bit being a little more savvy and giving a little better, more financial advice to the consumer. Maybe we look at buying interest rates down a little bit, paying some points this time. Maybe we look a little harder at buying them out of PMI, just to keep the payment a little more affordable for them.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know, there was a time, and if you've ever seen Gary Keller on stage, he never fails to bring up the fact that his first year in real estate interest rates were 18%, and that he sold a lot of houses, right? And you know, that's not to say that we ever expect to or hope to see that, but Don, your point is a great one, right? And it is no different than the strategies that we deploy in a seller's market versus a buyer's market versus a balanced market, right? There are different financial products. There are different ways to manipulate those rates. There are different ways to protect your clients, or let them absorb PMI, or to push past it, or buy down the rate with points. You know, those things have not, and, you know, looking at who's on this call, some of us have never lived in a world where those conversations have really had to come up, because, you know, for the last 36 months, we haven't been where we are right now. And even where we are right now is historically pretty damn good. But if you are fine, if you're struggling to keep a buyer in the game, or to make that opportunity palatable, don't assume that the rate is the rate is the rate and the final number is the final number. Get Sean or Don, Chris, Carmen, or anybody from Cross Country Mortgage on the phone. Their numbers are on your screen. They would love to hear from you to help you figure out how to solve that problem, because that's what we do as realtors, is we help our clients solve problems to manage their housing needs. So thank you for bringing that up, Don. There's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about doing in the coming months that we haven't had to do in the last couple of years. So that's a good sneak peek, and thank you for the plug for the event on the 13th. We are going to be breaking down a lot of things market related. We're going to be talking inflation and housing prices and Northeast Ohio specifically. So get your tickets now. All right, throwing it over to our crew at GM. That stands for Greater Metropolitan Title and Escrow.
Good morning, everyone.
Ladies?
So I have been having a lot of, in our one-on-ones with the agents, new agents, teams, I've been asking them, you know, what is the one question you guys get from your clients? And they have been saying they get a lot of questions on the CPL coverage that we offer. It stands for Closing Protection Coverage. And it is something that we do have to offer by Ohio law. So each title company should be offering this to your clients. And what it stems from is the recession in 2008. A lot of title companies were closing down and they still had people's funds in their hold. So what this is offering is it is insurance for money that we are in charge of. So once funds hit our account, this is extra insurance on those funds, that no fraudulent activity will be done if we close down, our doors tomorrow, which we don't plan to, that they are protected. It is, I think, $55 for the seller and $20 for the buyer. When we do send out our buyer and seller information sheets that, they'll put all their information down. It's kind of how we process our file. We send them out at the beginning of every single transaction that we do. They can opt in or out on those forms. If they still have questions, I just also wanted to point out that we do send a link with the forms to the Ohio State Bar, and it further explains that. So just wanted to let you guys know that if they still have questions after the little YouTube clip, give them my number and I would be more than happy to answer any questions they have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Over to Gina Legeza from America's Preferred Home Warranty, #1 in your hearts and #1 in all of America's Preferred Home Warranty, right, Gina?
Thank you, Michael. I love that. Good morning, everybody. I thought about talking this morning about why a home warranty for you and your client. And #1, it's reducing the risk, and how it's helping your client and your business is that we constantly keep you in the know with repair cards. Every time your client has a claim, we actually send you a digital repair card telling you the amount of the claim and what they had done. It's a great touch point for you to gain repeat referrals by touching base with them. So these are for everybody that had a home warranty, helping your client out with out-of-pocket expenses, protecting their investment. And something I thought was really interesting, Michael, that $425 home warranty, if the client has to replace like an AC system, can actually get them a 10-year manufacturer warranty. So think about that. If the client has to replace something and we're helping them with out-of-pocket expenditures, if they replace one of their HVAC units, that $425 policy got them a 10-year parts service in a manufacturer warranty sense. So just some good tips on why a home warranty for you and your clients this morning. Just want to thank everybody for their business. Looking forward to seeing everybody on April 7th. Thank you.
Love that. Love it, love it, love it. And guys, as your buyers are having to do things like go above asking price and make concessions, the last thing they need is to move into a house and have something break in the first 6 months. So home warranties can be great peace of mind for those individuals who are going above and beyond to lock up that home of their dreams. All right, and already had one shout out today, but let's give the floor to Miss Jessica Ivins, who is going to give us a little update on what's going on in the world of property management with rentals. There's no shortage of those out there either, is there?
Definitely not. Hi, everybody. I also have Alex here with us. We're at the property management office. And while Don and Sean were chatting, Alex and I were having a little sidebar conversation about the rental market and how the interest rates are affecting your sales clients, but not only them, but us on the rental side. A lot of our sales clients who maybe now are getting pushed out of the market because they can't necessarily afford what they could even 2 weeks ago, are now looking for rentals. So this is a great time to reach out to your investor clients, use it as an opportunity. I always try to think of everything as an opportunity to reach out to your investor clients, see if they are looking to rent their homes or even buy new investment properties, because we are definitely seeing a very high demand for rentals. And I think with the rise in the interest rates, that's just going to continue to grow and grow. So now is a great time to well, it's always a great time to invest in real estate. One property I'd love to highlight today, we have a great 4-unit building in Ohio City on Clinton. We have 2 units available, 1 bed, 1 bath for $900, 2 bed, 1 bath for $1,100. It is updated and it has in-suite laundry, great location, and we're offering commission to you guys. We're also offering commission on a lot of our other properties that we have for rent. So take a look at our website. If you have anybody interested, let us know.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. And if I just had like a spare bedroom to rent out, could you guys help with that? I mean, they would have to live with me in Brecksville, but is that enough?
We can do that for you, Mike.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Good luck finding that tenant. All right. Well, thank you to all of our partners for those updates and for always being available, guys. In any market, you're gonna hear this repeated early and often from me. In any market, we can be successful. There, as Jess pointed out, there's no bad time to invest in real estate. If you're trying to time the market, you'll always miss. But if you believe in the long-term viability of real estate as an investment vehicle, you will never, ever go wrong. Same thing with a career in real estate. One of the groups that we're going to hear from on April 13th is going to talk a little bit about, their experience in shifting markets, which, we are looking down the pike at what could be a shifting market. And we're going to have some people talk about all of the success they had when everyone else was thinking that success was impossible. We are certainly not adopting that mindset, but we will provide everything that you need to get your mind right and your business plan right to be successful no matter what the market gives us. So wanted to talk today, as we have about 15 minutes left on the clock, I want to revisit a couple of models from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. We are a company of models and systems. This gets talked about a lot, and it rolls too easily off the tongue and can go unappreciated as it relates to your business and ensuring that you have everything lined out to be successful. So and I'm just going to stop sharing so that we can have a little bit of a more face-to-face conversation. How's that sound? But what I want to talk about is, first, I want you to take this opportunity. If you haven't yet, right? There are 3 days or 2 days, 2.5 days, 2 days and 14 hours left in the quarter. And I want you to take inventory of the last 90 days, right? I want you to start with your net income, right? We're going to work backwards from what the MREA model, or excuse me, we're going to follow the MREA model. And then what was your gross commission income, right? So you may have had, X dollars net income, but you were paying the last bit of your cap off. So you had that in there. You had some cost of sales because you brought in some referrals, or you worked some of those Op City leads that are on fire right now. And then I want you to think, well, how many closings did it take to get to that GCI? So net income, GCI, closings. How many did you pend? Right? So how many went under contract versus how many did you close? And guys, and I hate that I have to say this, but if you put something under contract and it didn't close, and then you put it under contract and it did, that's 2 times under contract for 1 closing, right? You have to keep that in mind because you can't. And the only thing that does is ensure that you don't start spending money before it's in your bank account, right? And then finally, or not finally, but how many appointments did you go on, buyer consultations or listing appointments, versus how many contacts did you make versus how many leads did you have? And so those are the 7 buckets that I want you to look at your business in. And if you're not going to be able to do it right now because you're going to go have to fish for some of this data. But Look at that progression. And then think about what you want your numbers to be in the same way for the second quarter. And all you have to do is hold the ratios. How many leads to how many contacts, to how many appointments, to how many pended, to how many closed, how much GCI, and how much net income, right? So that waterfall is the next 90 days. And what you'll find is, hey, I want to make X dollars in the next 90 days. It boils all the way back to how many leads do I need, right? This is the economic model for the millionaire real estate agent, right? And I'm going to throw it on the whiteboard here so that we, because I know some people are visual learners, some are auditory learners, but we're going to go net income, how much money made it into your bank account before taxes, and that came off of GCI. So what's in the middle here is your cost of sales, which is referral fees, and your company dollar to KW. That GCI was a number of closed units, right? Of which there was a number of times under contract. And a number of appointments, a number of contacts, which means two-way conversations about real estate, and a number of leads, right? So if you go through this exercise, one thing I'll encourage you to do is to define each and every piece of this puzzle. A lead is a name with a need, right? Picking up someone's business card from out of the fishbowl at a restaurant is not a lead. It's a name, a phone number, and an email address, but you don't know the need. A lead is a name with a need. Once you have that standard, right? And it's the need does not always have to be buy a house, right? It can be any real estate need, right? That you can help them with. A lead is a name with a need. A contact is a two-way conversation about real estate, right? An appointment is a face-to-face conversation where you ask for their business. Choose me to be your realtor. Let me represent you as a buyer on properties. I'd like to list your home face-to-face with the ask. Under contract, our broker is going to appreciate saying this, means that everybody has signed the contract and the buyer agrees to buy and the seller agrees to sell. Sending offers does not count as under contract. Closed means Carrie paid you. GCI means how much. Net income is what of that was yours. So each gap on the way back up, you get a percentage. And that's a ratio, right? And so when you choose your income for the second quarter, which you're choosing your income for the second quarter, you just apply those ratios all the way down and you will get a number again. A number of leads, a number of contacts, a number of appointments, a number of under contracts. That's your economic model. It is very clean cut, simple way that the top real estate agents in the history of real estate have thought about their business, right? We are not operating in an environment where we can expect the business to come to us, even if it has in recent times, right? For all intents and purposes, we should believe and act as though the pandemic is over, in the sense that what might have been construed as panic buying or a first-time opportunity to work from home permanently so I can live in Medina instead of Lyndhurst, and all of these things that create the record low interest rates, money being cheaper than it ever was in history. Those things that conflated to make your phone ring may not exist today, tomorrow, and the next day. And so we have to understand what is the level of offense that we need to be playing with our database, our sphere, and our sphere to generate the business necessary to deliver this number, right? Because when we talk about being accountable, you have to be accountable to your goals. Because your goals, I would say, even for the most solo among us, right? Our goals impact other people's lives, right? And so then by way of that, we're being accountable to the people who are really, important and valuable in our lives. And so if you are having a hard time with this, this is usually 30 to 45 minutes worth of conversation at the business planning clinic, but I want to make sure, chunk it down, right? 90 days. It might be 3 closings, right? And you might have only had, 10 leads or 20 leads last quarter that led to 3 closings, but now you know your ratio, right? You're hitting at about 7.5% or 15% of your leads turn into closings. So now you know how to drive your business forward, right? And that's why we talk so aggressively about this idea of choosing your income. All right, so that is a retouch on the economic model. Folks, I will avail myself to have this conversation and work these numbers with you whenever you would like. I love this conversation. I've had this conversation with any agent that's asked for it. It is a very illuminating conversation because it gives you something actionable to work towards. And the next thing that I want to pop into is this idea of talking to our database. And that's where our leads should be coming from. You're going to get a deep dive on this information when we're together in April, but just a spoiler alert, 58% of all the buyers that bought last year and 64% of all the sellers that sold came by way of someone's database. That is, they were either a past client, they were either referred by another realtor, or they were the overwhelming majority of both. More than 40% of buyers and sellers were referred to their real estate agent by a friend, family member, or coworker, right? So if you know 100 people and everyone that you know knows 100 people, you know 10,000 people, right? And you could take over the world with the amount of business you could do off of 10,000 people. So, as we say, company of models and systems. I'm going to put up on the board something that Brian Brokes actually talked about last week, which was the DTD2 model. Do the database too. So because we are sitting on the doorstep of the second quarter, we're kicking off a new quarter. That is a 13-week cycle, 52 weeks in a year, divide by 4, 13 weeks. All this is telling you to do is call 2 letters of your database based on their last name each week, right? So if I have 50 people that have A's and W's as their last names, I call 10 a day and I'm done. That is my lead generation. That is the opportunity, right? And for those of you who say, well, that's silly, it's just what I'm just going to call people and they're going to give me business. Yeah, actually, that is like the only thing that has ever consistently worked. There have been times when pay-per-click doesn't work. There have been times when Zillow leads fall on their face, but the idea that the people that already know, like, and trust you can help you generate business and provide you with names and needs. And even if you pick up the phone and you talk to them and they don't necessarily in that very moment have a lead for you, don't have a name with a need, you are wearing a groove in their brain. You are reconditioning them to think about you when they think about real estate, right? The original team leader in this market center, would always say, and still says to this day, as he is one of the muckety mucks at Keller Williams, the more people that think about you when they think about real estate, the bigger your business gets. And it's always that simple. Now, some people do it with radio ads and billboards and other things. You're going to do it with the phone. And what are you going to talk to them about? This is where I really feel that our role as realtors and as fiduciaries and as good real estate agents is really noble, right? Because if you just search real estate news, there is a ton of information out there that your buyers and sellers, your friends and family, the people that you care about, the people that they care about, are being inundated with information around what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. And, oh, the housing market's in crisis and it's only been 15 years since the last one. And all of this junk is coming to them from people other than Sean Hadley and Don Jarecki. And you need to be an intermediary there. So when you get on the phone, right? Because everybody who bought a house last year from you or 2 years ago is probably got like a pit in their stomach and they're worried about like, what the hell is going to happen with the housing market? I paid $30,000 over asking price for this house. And yeah, I got a good interest rate, but what does it really mean? Those people need a call from you. Your friends and family need a call from you. Anybody who owns a home or has ever thought about owning a home, people who own investment properties, they need to know that while you may not know everything, you can help them with whatever they need. You can help them however they need it, right? Whether it be they need a property manager, they need a title person, they need a plumber, they need somebody to grade their driveway, whatever it is, you can bird dog that. So we've never had an easier time in the history of real estate, other than maybe 2009, to talk about real estate because it's on the tip of everyone's tongue, right? And there's a lot of information out there about it. So do the DTD2 and get into conversation with your people as a means of caring for them and protecting them, right? Because when they interpret something or they hear something, if they hear it in a vacuum or they hear it from some sensationalist journalist, they could very well make a decision that a strong fiduciary would help them decide differently. So then the final thing that I'll talk about here today as we reach the top of the hour is for those of you who are in a position of maybe you're newer, or listen, if you look at this math behind me, I don't care if you've been in the business for 20 years, you might see a gap in what you're earning and what you want to earn, right? What I want to encourage you to do, as I said, and I don't mean to speak in such black and white terms, but if we take the mindset that the pandemic's over, I'll tell you, my calendar is full. The date card's full of events and fundraisers and this festival and that festival and this thing and that thing and volunteer opportunities and CLE 3020 and all these different groups are back in action, right? As you could just roll on to Eventbrite and pick some events. Real estate is a contact sport. And if you don't have enough names in your database, right? Go to Eventbrite, go to Facebook events, go anywhere or call up your cool friends, call up the friends who are always the ones with the plans that are making the plans and go do something, right? I was at an event on Saturday night and I got 2 warm leads and made a new lender contact, right? And I don't actively sell real estate. I was just sitting at a table having dinner at a fundraiser. And so the opportunities are out there. There are only 13% of real estate transactions in 2021 came by way of Zillow, Realtor.com, or any of these aggregator sites. And the way to make that number even smaller is to get out there, press the flesh, get them in your database, work the DTD2, add them to a smart plan, make them your friend on Facebook so that when you go on that inspection and you post that it's inspection day, they see you, they see that you're a realtor and they think about you when they think about real estate. It all starts with this funnel of leads right here. And I want to encourage you, to the extent that you feel safe and comfortable doing it, get out there and press the flesh. Real estate is a contact sport, and the fastest way to build relationships is not through computer screens, which is why we're having a big, awesome Q2 kickoff in just a couple weeks, but it is through face-to-face interaction and relationship. So that's your lead generation model, guys, is figure out where your leads came from. You should have about 5 pillars of lead generation to make sure that if any one of them falters at any given time, that you still have a viable business. And so it could be open houses, could be cold calls, could be door knocking, FSBOs, expireds, pay-per-click, Zillow, Realtor.com, OpCity, live events, networking events, sponsorships. Like, pick whatever you want, do them. And then make sure you understand that if, 9 of your 10 came out of your sphere of influence, that you really need to drive more people into your sphere of influence, because that's the place that you're getting the highest return on investment. I'm going to leave this up here as we bring it home. It is 10:29. We're at the bottom of the hour. Thank you guys all very much for an awesome meeting. Be on the lookout for announcements about our Q2 kickoff, who's on our panel, who's our keynote speaker. Get your tickets now. And then outstanding calendar coming in April, and it all starts this Friday as we talk about achieving your goals with the 4 disciplines of execution with Shoshana Socher. That's all I got, guys. I ain't got no more. I will see you next quarter.